Hey Alpha Fam, Coach Jam here with another market update. Before we begin, I do want to say that nothing in these videos is financial advice. Everything's for educational purposes only. It's just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to the channel, if you could please give us a like, comment, and a subscribe. We really do appreciate the support. So let's get into the market, guys. So markets have been showing incredible weakness. And I said this a few days ago. I said if Bitcoin didn't immediately get out of this zone, that I would have to conclude that two things. This was not a spring. This was not an accumulation. This was just a breakdown of a bear flag. And two, that we would be coming into and creating a new range. And then this range would probably be something that we bounce around in for the course of the next 2, 3, 4 months. All right. As we get closer to Jerome Powell being replaced, I think that's when we will start seeing strength come back into the market. And until then, guys, and I didn't want this to happen. It's very unfortunate. But when you come into these ranges like this, what's happening is we're just simply not showing any strength. We can't get a recovery because every time the market starts to try to make a move up, it's immediately being sold into. All right, so this shows me that the sentiment is so bad that every single time we start to try to make a pump, it gets sold off into. And a big eye-opener for me the other day was this. When Uniswap made that big announcement with BlackRock, and they did a 41% pump in seconds, with it being immediately sold off within minutes. All right. This shows you the state of the market is very, very bad. So with that being said, we are, I think, going to continue to chop around. And I do think that we are going to probably come to the bottom lower part of this region right here. All right. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily have to happen tomorrow or the next day. But what I do think is going to happen is we're going to bounce like we have. We're showing weakness. And this thing is going to drift down. And then we're going to start doing one of these numbers. And what's going to happen is it's going to be there. And it's going to be done to drive people out of their bags even more. At some point, I believe we do a spring, which will deviate outside of this trading range. And I'm not saying that we necessarily have to get to 50,000 or anything like that. And then finally, that's when I see us finally breaking out of the range, showing strength and moving up. So during this period of time in this bear market that we're in, because I would have to conclude that we're in a bear market, what I would be looking to do is two things. One, stacking up as much cash as possible. I would be looking to try to do anything I could do to earn money that I could put into stable coins that I would be utilizing to DCA every time we come to the bottom of these ranges. All right. Two, I would not be rushing things right now. I'd be very patient because this one can take a little bit of time to play out. And you also don't want to catch a falling knife. You want a confirmed bottom. You want a bottom that's confirmed. And the only way you're going to really be able to confirm this bottom is by us utilizing and showing support in this region a couple of times. So if I remove everything, what I mean by that is you can see right now we've been basically holding the 65,000 as support. All right. But I'm not very confident that that's going to hold for long because then you have this big wick down here that hasn't been filled. All right. So if you come into the 4-hour candle, guys, or the 4-hour chart, you can see it. Every time we've come into this zone, it's kind of resulted in this push up. We're just a little bit further away from it now. And then the next thing I like to do is I'll put a fib right here just to give me an idea of where we're at and what's going on. And you can see, guys, this 1618 at 61. I would not be surprised if this doesn't get tagged. All right. So what I would be doing is not only being patient and not only stacking up cash. The third thing I would be looking to do is removing any weakness. What I mean by that is if you're holding tokens, guys, that maybe were very hot at one point, had a really good narrative. I'll give you an example. Agents. AI agents at the end of 24 going into 25 were like the hottest thing out. Everybody was aping into them. Just like memes were just about 3-4 months before that. When this happened, you've seen these projects get to astronomical valuations and then just immediately start dumping. If you're holding in those, and I'm not saying that agents are a dead narrative. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're holding something like a project that was very active at one point, but now they're no longer posting, there's no updates, the team's not really engaged, their telegrams are dead, nobody's doing anything, why are you holding that token going into a bear market? When you have the opportunity, and I understand nobody wants to, take a loss, but I would prefer to realize a loss and then rotate that capital into a token that I'm going to be confident holding. If you're holding things that are showing any weakness, This is a very, very good opportunity to start trimming the fat and focusing and hyper focusing in on some very key positions and projects that are actually doing something. All right. Give you an example what I mean by doing something. So you have all these new VC launches that have happened recently, like for instance, Monad. All right. Monad, and I'm not talking bad about this project, but if you go to DeFi Llama, they earned, I think, the last 24 hours like $2,000 in fees. All right. Compare that to something like Hyperliquid, which earned $1.3 million in fees. So out of both of those projects, which one would I feel more confident holding in a bear market? Obviously Hyperliquid. It's got a product fit, real users, earning real revenue, and it's actually doing something. All right. So you can basically eliminate most of your portfolio and hyper focus in on the narratives that are actually being used and adopted, like for instance, certain layer ones, all right, like your Solanas, your Suis, stablecoin protocols, these things like Curve, for instance, which you can see every day is increasing their deposits and doing more and more. Different DeFi protocols like Aave, for instance, who has a real product fit that's actually earning real revenue, guys, all right, and remove everything that is just there. And I hate to make it sound like I'm bashing some of these lower cap stuff, guys, but it's just not that type of environment right now. Your mindset should be two things. Seriously, it should be number one, preserving capital, and number two, making sure you're taking advantage of this bear market, guys. The hardest thing to do is to be able to build positions in a bear market because nobody wants to catch a falling knife, but the best R&R is in a bear market. I'll give you an example. I bought my Bitcoin last bear market at 27,000 was my average. I started scaling out at 100. I bought Solana at $20. Started scaling out at like $60, $70. These are the opportunities that people want for the bull run, but most people don't stay engaged. They leave when it gets bad, they come when it gets good, and then they continue to follow this cycle where they get wrecked. Most people don't make any money their first cycle, guys. All right? And just think about it. This is an investment vehicle. If you're looking to enter this market as an investor, you should have a lot longer time frame or horizon in your mind. You shouldn't be looking at this in a 6-month time frame. You should be looking at it 5, 10, 15 years. All right? And with that being said, guys, we have a little bit of data coming out too. I'm waiting for the U.S. market to open. Tomorrow, we've got the GDP data coming out. I'm very interested to see that and core PCE price index. I think both of those are going to be very important. I'm very interested to see how that comes out. And again, guys, if this is the first time you've ever found some of my content, and you want to understand this stuff, if you want to learn how we incorporate the macro fundamentals, technical analysis, and how we combine all of these things together to help us give us an edge over the market, and if you also want a place where you can actually network, get coached, mentored, and have a place where you can work with other people that are like-minded, click the link below, guys. We'll see you inside.